Good afternoon. My name is Joey Cross, and I will be examining and showcasing my theory on social penetration theory, which was a topic for my research paper. Um, Initially, I just want to give you some background on why I chose that topic. Then I'll talk a little bit about who developed or created the theory and why, and some of the premises and what the theory posits. Then I'll dive a little bit into a few studies that I came across during my research. Um, then I'll give some personal examples as well, and then I'll go ahead and conclude the presentation. So just to kick off, SPT, also known as social penetration theory, was developed by Altman and Taylor in 1973. And they basically posit that information or disclosure of information allows us to build um, intimate relationships or allow us to develop relationships in general, starting at more of a stranger or more of a superficial level, and then extending all the way through to ultimate intimacy. Another name or a way to remember or identify with social penetration theory, they kind of refer to it as the onion theory, meaning that you have an onion, and on the outside of the onion are more of superficial information, things that you would talk about when first meeting, whether it be the weather, it may be politics, it may be the sports coat or the heels that the female is wearing in the elevator, things of that nature. And as you peel back layers of the onion, you go through a series of stages where you begin to disclose more intimate details of your life. Um, the range of topics is broadened uh, until you inevitably reach the core of the onion. Another thing that identifies with SPT is also this notion of breadth and depth. Now, breadth, like I was saying, that refers to the number of topics uh, that one can pick to talk about. And breadth is actually how deep within those topics or how intimate within those topics one is willing to discuss. And one thing that came to mind when finding that throughout my research and that I also included in my research paper is that just imagine taking a deck of playing cards. We all know that there's four suits. You have the diamonds, the hearts, the clubs, and the spades. So if you were to take the ace of diamond all the way through, or I'm sorry, if you take the ace all the way down to the two in each suit and just laid them on the table, you would have the ace of diamonds, you would have the ace of hearts, you would have the ace of clubs, and the ace of spades. So there, across the table, you would have four topics or the breadth of what one can talk about. However, depth refers to taking that ace of diamonds or that suit of diamonds and going from the ace all the way down to the two card. So again, you have breadth and then you have depth, which allows you to get to the core of that onion. And as we disclose certain facts and personal feelings and become more intimate, there's also a level of trust and vulnerability that plays into how relationships go or how they will go or if relationships will stop or if they will continue. And one thing that we all look at or that we look at while we're developing relationships with certain people are how we limit disclosure over time by looking at the rewards and the costs of either continuing to initiate relationships and to go from the first level to deeper levels. Um, so when you have more cost than rewards, typically people will stop and say, well, there's no point or there's no reason for me to continue this relationship. Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to have someone know everything about, and information is being reciprocated by the person that they're having a conversation with. And two, nobody wants to be vulnerable. Um, And with that, with those stages, social penetration theory considers there to be four levels, starting with the orientation stage, which is again is that initial superficial level where information is kind of is just known based off of assumptions and what you can see from the outside looking in. And then it develops to a little more intimate level to your stage two, which is exploratory. Then it goes on to the effective stage, and it also goes on to the stable stage where information has been relayed back and forth in a reciprocal notion, um, and you go from that outside layer of the onion to the core. Um, Now, just to move over to two brief studies that I found throughout my research, Morton in 1978 that contained a study with 24 married couples and 24 um, opposite sex stranger pairs. And what he was looking to find, or what he hypothesized, was um, the more you get to know someone, the more information that you're willing to disclose. And he also wanted to find out if gender had an effect on what kinds of things that we were able to talk about or were more comfortable talking about. And there were two elements that he was looking for. One he labeled descriptive intimacy, which is the disclosure of private facts and information. And then there's evaluative intimacy, which is the disclosure or the providing of information that has to do with personal feelings and opinions. And that study actually concluded that women tend to demonstrate a greater evaluative intimacy than males, meaning they were willing to talk about personal feelings and opinions more than men, and men were typically, able to talk about private facts. On the contrary, um, also the results suggest that increased acquaintance is associated not only with an increase in intimacy of information exchange, but also with a transition in the processes used to regulate how we interact with each other. Another study by Wang and Tang, 2012, um, looked at 1,027 online bloggers and was trying to understand or comprehend what types of categories or topics bloggers in the online world are willing to disclose with the various audiences that may see the information that they post online. And what they found were 9 distinctive, differently topics ranging from attitude, body, money, work, feelings, personal, interest, experience, and a category known as unclassified. And within their given relationships, these bloggers express themselves most primarily to best friends, followed by their parents, and then the third level of participants that they were able to disclose information to, depending on the study or contained within the study, were the various online audiences. So with social penetration theory, it provides some insight into how we engage in the world, how we engage and initiate relationships, especially starting from the stranger phase. So it's very beneficial just to take notice of the information that you discuss, who you're discussing the information with, and how and why certain relationships maintain themselves, why certain relationships you talk to a stranger and you never see that person again, and then there's other relationships that cultivate into a deeper, intimate level, which may be a significant other, or even to the long-range relationships of marriage. So, Altman and Taylor's social penetration theory is definitely a theory that is beneficial to interpersonal communication. So, I hope the information that I provided in this presentation gave you some background into what social penetration theory is all about. Again, I'm Joey Cross. Thank you and have a great day.